So you already know what sidechaining is, yeah? Kick hits, bass ducks, jobs are good. But what if I told you that that is just merely scratching the surface? Most people stop there, but if you know how to use it properly, sidechaining can clean up your mix in ways that EQ and compression just can't. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use FabFilter's Pro Q4 to sidechain things in a completely new way. And the first trick's going to completely change how you think about reverb. Just to be clear, sidechaining is where one sound is controlling how the other sound reacts. Usually it's a compressor reacting to a kick drum to duck the bass. But with Pro Q4 we can now get way more specific. The simplest example I can think of sidechaining is when a DJ's talking and he lowers the track to let his vocal come over the top. But we obviously need to do this automatically to create space in the mix between all of the instruments. We can sidechain individual frequency bands, meaning we can dip just the parts of the sound that are clashing. So instead of lowering the overall volume with the compressor, we can use the dynamic EQ to reduce frequencies just when needed. And we can apply this not just to the main instruments, but we can apply this to the reverbs and the delays. But before I forget, all the techniques I'm about to show you, I've made into presets so you can download them from the description. Let's start with something that blows people's minds the first time they hear it. Your vocal's full of reverb, it's got a really long tail on it, which sounds great when it's just the reverb tail playing. But as soon as the vocal comes back in, we're now overpowered with reverb and the vocal is just buried, like this.
I came to make you mine. This dance floor's just fine. We got the time, let's give joy on rewind.
You want the reverb, but you also want the clarity of the vocal too. So here's what you do. You make sure your reverb's on a bus rather than directly on the channel. So under the reverb, I've put a Pro Q4 EQ. I go to the sidechain in the top and I select the lead vocal, which in this case is Audio 3. Now I'm going to select two bands, one at 333 and then the next one at 1.8K. I'm going to bring these down just in dynamic mode. They're dropping down to about -6 dB. So now what I want to do is group these two and then I turn on the external sidechain, which means now that these are going to react to whatever's coming in on the sidechain trigger, which is at the top right here. I've selected the threshold to auto. I've done 100% on the attack here and just a short amount of release. These vary, but for this track, that's how it sounded best. But obviously every track's different, so just play around with the attack and release times for your selected vocal. So now what's going to happen is every time the vocal plays, it's going to trigger this sidechain and it's just going to duck the reverb out of the way a little bit so that we can hear the vocal and that's more present. And then the reverb comes back in afterwards. So it means we're not swamped in reverb all the time. Down here, with this amount, we can scale it and change however much we want. So if we want to take more of the reverb away, we can do that and make it a lot drier. But really, we want to keep a bit there because you still want it wet, but not too, not too damp. So let's have a listen to that in action.
I came to make you mine. This dance floor's just fine. We got the time, let's give joy on rewind. I came to make you mine. This dance floor's just fine. We got the time, let's give joy on rewind.
Subtle but majorly effective. Sounds really huge, but the vocal's still right up front and a lot drier than it was when it's just completely swamped. So that's how we're doing it when we mix, is so that everything sounds wide, clean and professional. It's not about having less reverb, it's about being more in control of the reverb. So you might be shouting at the screen now that there's loads of other plugins for doing sidechaining on, which is true, there is. But with the update to Pro Q4 from the Pro Q3, we now have so much more control over the dynamic area of this. With the attack and release times and also the spectral processing too, it really is a go-to tool. So let me just touch on the attack and release times. When it comes to playing with those for each individual sidechain that you're doing, it's not about having it so that it really ducks it hard and fast and back. It's about keeping everything really smooth so the listener doesn't notice and it's kind of more of a thing that's there without it being really obvious. So now that we've cleaned up the vocal a little bit so that we're controlling the reverb so the vocal's staying present, we've now got a synth part that we're going to put on. The synth part is obviously in a similar frequency range to the vocal, so it's going to clash with the vocal. So we now need to control the synth to pull that out of the way of the vocal at the same time. Let's just have a listen to it clean first of all, and you'll hear that it's clashing with the vocal a bit. So that clashing is coming about because they're both in the same frequency range. So we could turn the synth down, but then we're losing the vibe. Or we could sidechain it with a compressor, but that would duck the whole signal and it sounds too obvious. Instead, we're just going to duck the frequencies that are clashing with the vocal and not all the frequencies. So I've put the Pro Q4 directly on the channel of the synth. I'm now going to sidechain it in the top right to the lead vocal again, audio 3. I've made a frequency at 1.4K and I've made a shelf at 6K. I've brought these down to around -3, -4. You can play with these levels depending on the synth and how much you want to pull it down. So now I select both EQ points and that way I can change the attack and release time so they're working at the same speed as each other. So now let's listen to it before and after. Keep your focus on the vocal and you'll hear the synth move out of the way when it comes in and it makes it gel together more as a sound rather than just clashing frequencies. Check this out. So you can hear that gives it so much more groove and feel and it just gels it together perfectly without the listener realizing exactly what's going on. So moving on to the third technique, it's something that's really advanced but can really clean things up. Let's say you've got a bunch of backing vocals stacked up which sound great in the chorus, but now the lead vocal's in there too and that's getting lost. So let's play how it sounded before. When you're listening to this, listen to the main vocal and that way you'll hear how it's clashing.
I can make it smooth. Let me show you just how to move. When the beat drops, it's real cool. Let the music fill your soul. Any way you want it, anyway.
So you can hear the backing vocal is fighting for space against the lead vocal and we want to just pull that to the side and let the main vocal do the work. So now I'm going to select the backing vocals. They're stereo backing vocals. I'm putting the Q4 directly onto their channel because I want to duck them out of the way, but I don't want to duck all of them out of the way, so I'm just using the mid on this. So that's going to duck anything that's in the center out of the way of the main vocal, which is sitting in the center. So because I've set the sidechain up to the lead vocal here, every time the lead vocal comes in, it will just duck the mid channel and leave the sides the same. So we still have a big sound of vocals, but it just lets the lead vocal do its work in the center. So let's listen to the before and after, focusing on the lead vocal.
I can make it smooth. Let me show you just how to move. When the beat drops, it's real cool. Let the music fill your soul. Any way you want it, anyway.
Now the lead is sitting clearly in the center and the backing vocals are wrapping around it, supporting it, exactly what you want from backing vocals. It's subtle, but it's super effective in the mix. So we're not just sidechaining volume anymore, we're sidechaining EQ, effects returns, and controlling attack and release so that everything can sit exactly where it should, all within the Pro Q4 EQ. So if you want to try these tricks yourself on your tracks, then you can download this as a little sidechain pack that I've made for the Pro Q4. That's available in a link in the description. And if you want all my Pro Q4 presets for drums, basses, vocals, reverbs, and effects, then you can check out my full preset pack that's available in the description. These are the exact ones that I use every day at Streaky Studios for mixing and mastering. So I've shown you 3 ways to sidechain, but there are loads more. Let me know in the comments which one is your favourite, not from these 3, but ones that you use all the time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out and helps me do more videos like this for you. This next video coming up is why your reverb sucks and how you can fix it. So check that one out next. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.